Life Audio.
Welcome to the Team Us podcast, where we share how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together. Hey, everybody, we are Ted.
And Ashley Slater. Ever feel like you and your spouse are talking but not really connecting? We've all been there. Today, we're sharing 5 simple communication techniques from how to talk to anyone that can help you feel seen, heard, and understood. And don't worry, these aren't gimmicks. They're practical ways to build trust and strengthen your marriage, one conversation at a time. So, Ted, it is your birthday week.
It is. I'm turning another year older, apparently.
Right.
Not sure how this happens. It just happens.
Just every year.
Beats the alternative, I
It
suppose.
keeps coming. Yes,
Yep.
It does. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to kick things off with a few birthday questions.
All right.
So they're kind of light, fun, and maybe a little deep.
Okay.
Yes. I know. Those
It's all over the place.
Right. They're all over the place.
Nice.
Okay. So I actually found these online, and I'll link to the list in the show notes in case anyone listening wants to use them with a family member also.
Excellent.
Because there's even more than the ones I'm asking you.
Okay.
All right. So first question. What's your favorite birthday tradition or memory?
Well, I don't know if it's the favorite one, but it's the most memorable. I remember in college, a roommate of mine, I lived in a condo, and he was my roommate in the condo. He was like, "Hey, Ted, let's go out for dinner or something." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we went out, we hung out, we ate, came back home. And when I came in the front door of the house, he had scheduled a surprise party.
Oh, nice.
So I had a dozen people there, surprise and all that stuff. And I confess my first reaction was I didn't like it, because I was like, I'm going home, I'm winding down, put on my comfy clothes, and there's this big party going on.
Nice.
So there you go. That's my most memorable one.
Very nice. That is very memorable. I think I have heard that story before. Okay. So here's a deep one.
Yeah.
If you could give advice to your past self, what would it be?
I'm so shallow. But because my thing would be like money. I'd be like, invest in Apple stock when it's at $14 a share.
Didn't you have Apple stock at some point?
I did, and I sold it at like $30 a share. That helped us pay down the down payment on some house or something.
Nice. All right. Well,
that's pretty shallow, right? Money.
It's practical.
It should be, tell yourself you'll be okay, or invest your time in reading scripture and it'll make you a better man. But I'm like, buy Apple stock. So it goes. Keeping it real.
All right. If you could spend, this is a fun one, your birthday anywhere in the world, where would it be?
With you.
Okay, so wherever I am. So I can pick where we are?
Yes. Although, if you were at Machu Picchu, that would be even better.
Okay.
I think it'd be great to wake up and look around and see the clouds of Machu Picchu.
That would be cool.
It would be very cool.
Well, see, and I could have added on there anywhere in the world with anyone. Who would it be? But I knew you would say me.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So I didn't need to add that there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, one more. What's one thing you're grateful for as you celebrate this year of life?
This is gonna sound like an old guy talking. I'm grateful for health. Just being able to, not everybody has working legs, working arms, working ears, working eyes, working body chemistry, working brain. Some people are born with physical issues and some people develop them over life. And for the most part, I'm doing fine. And I appreciate that. I'm grateful that I can walk around without assistance and make food. And
yeah.
So there you go.
I sometimes am like, hey, my legs might hurt, but they're working.
Right.
If I'm walking a lot or something.
That's something boring that an old person says. I don't know.
Well,
there you go.
You're in the, nostalgic phase.
Oh, no.
In and out too, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, so you know me, and I love to read.
You do. You always read. I'm reading like stuff for my work.
Yeah.
And you're reading stuff for life and family.
Well, and the older I get, we're talked about birthdays here. The more I realize how much I still don't know. Right now, there are a lot of personal growth and marriage books in our bedroom and our closet. Just kind of all over the place.
I see some right now. We're in our office now recording. I see some over in the corner there.
Right.
Some
on
real
the shelf.
thick ones.
Yeah. So, and before I continue with that train of thought,
yes.
I want to say that, when we are reading these personal growth and marriage books, we've got to filter every bit of self-help through scripture.
I think so,
You
yeah.
know, like, does God's word agree with what this author's saying? Because if
Right.
it doesn't line up, then it's not truth.
Yeah.
So, okay. So anyway, one of the books that was in our room is by Leil Lowndes, and it's called How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships.
Yeah, I saw that book in the bedroom, and I was like, that's an interesting one. You should do a podcast about this. It's cool.
Right. And that's what you said to me. You were like,
Good.
and so that's what we're doing. So I actually bought the book a few years ago for our daughters, though I don't think any of them ever read it. I thought that maybe it would help them with small talk and confidence when meeting new people.
Yeah.
But anyway, your suggestion, I revisited the book and pulled out 5 simple techniques that, when used intentionally with our spouse, can strengthen communication and connection.
So the book includes 92, but you selected 5. So this is going to be a good list.
Yeah, because I don't think all of them you can use with your spouse.
No, and a 92-point podcast would take several hours.
Yes. And some of them are intended for when you meet someone new. Yes. Yeah, that would take a really long time. All right. So a couple of these have really goofy names.
I love goofy.
But don't dismiss them.
Nope.
And, you know, like I said, some of them I didn't pull from the book because they're more for new acquaintances. But also, there are a few that felt a little bit manipulative, like you're manipulating the situation. I mean, maybe it's just being smart and clever.
Oh, okay. Maybe in business that's acceptable.
Right. And
Maybe.
so I didn't pick any of those because manipulation and marriage don't mix.
No.
So, and that might not have been the intention for them to be manipulative. It might just be, like you said, business. Because
Business
it is
technique.
aimed towards, you know, life and business and just being successful. So, okay, but we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk through those 5 techniques from How to Talk to Anyone that can actually help us talk to the one who matters most,
Great.
our spouse.
Sounds good.
Did you know Gen Z and millennials are leading the resurgence in church attendance? New research from Glue and Barna shows that they're now attending church more often than older generations. That's a historic shift. And behind this discovery is Glue, spelled Gloo. Glue has a mission to serve those who serve, pastors, leaders, publishers, and more. And they do it by connecting the faith ecosystem with the latest research, technology, and values-aligned AI. That's high tech for a higher purpose. See the research yourself. Just text the word JOIN to 46816. Again, that's JOIN to 46816.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
All right, so we're back. So we're going to talk about 5 techniques that I pulled from How to Talk to Anyone and kind of made them applicable to marriage.
Good.
So the first one, and this is one of those goofy names, is the big baby pivot.
The big baby pivot. I'm imagining, I think there's a baby in like Adventure Time or something, or one of these cartoons the girls watch. It's like a very large baby. And that's what
Yes.
I'm envisioning.
Okay, yeah. And I'll
So what
admit,
does it mean?
this name is one that makes me cringe just a little. But the idea, I think, is super helpful. So Lowndes, the author, explains that when someone, like say our spouse, speaks to us, we should physically pivot toward them, like turn our body, make eye contact, and smile warmly. Basically give them the same undivided attention we'd give a baby reaching for us. It silently says, "You're important to me."
So maybe instead of big baby pivot, it's like a big baby pivot. Like you would pivot if a baby is reaching out to you to be held or whatever.
Yeah.
I do this because I do this when I can because I know that I'm easily distracted. When we go out for dates, I sit I try to sit so I'm not looking at a TV because I can be distracted. I mean, it's just who I am. I can't hold my concentration very well sometimes. So when you come in the room, if I can, I push myself away from my computer desk, swivel my chair a little bit toward you, maybe even, and then just give you my attention, because otherwise I can't give you my attention. I will be distracted.
And I feel the dividedness. But I mean, I know that like you and me and probably a lot of the listeners, we can't drop everything every time our spouse talks to us.
Right.
So I think when they make a bid for connection, that's when pivoting matters the most. And we actually did an episode last spring about bids for connection, which are those moments when our spouse reaches out for attention, affection, humor, or support.
Okay.
And so, I mean, sometimes we don't realize our spouse is making a bid. I actually wrote an article for Boundless over the summer called How to Know When Someone Wants Your Attention, that focuses on bids for connection. And like they come in all sizes. And you can sometimes tell when I come in that I need your attention.
Yeah.
And that's when you take that time to, shift.
Right. I have to make a decision. When you come in, is it something that I can talk to you about in 10 minutes after I'm wrapping up a particular piece of code or something? Or is it something I need to just turn and look to you and give you my attention at the moment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I know sometimes when you're making a bid, like when you share something stressful from work, that's like a big bid. I need to give you my attention. Or sometimes you crack a joke or you point out the Quayle family.
When I crack a joke, I do need some affirmation.
Right.
I do need you to turn to me, look me in the eye and say, you are the most amazing jokester in the universe.
And that's a smaller bid, but still it's a bid for attention.
Sure.
Or even like simple gestures like reaching for my hand or laughing out loud, hoping I'll ask you what's funny are bids too. So I think, because we can't, pivot for everything, if we kind of pay attention, like, because we know our spouses, kind of pay attention to, ooh, I think that's a bid. They want my attention right now and I can give it to them. Or you can say, hey, I'll be with you in 5 minutes.
Yep. So you can give them a big baby pivot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, when our spouse extends a bid and we pivot or turn toward them, it opens the lines of communication and connection because those moments say, I see you and I'm here.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay. Ready for number 2?
I'm ready.
Okay.
That was weird. I'm ready. I'm sorry about that.
Be a word detective. So our girls went through a serious Sherlock Holmes phase. Sherlock books,
Holmes.
Movies, all of it.
Did you know there is a Soviet Sherlock Holmes?
Well, I did, but I don't know if the listeners
there
do.
Is, and apparently it did so well and was so respectful of the source material that a statue is made in its in its honor.
That's cool. And one of our daughters has the Blu-rays for it also.
That's right.
Yes. Well, this next technique taps right into that detective mindset. So Lowndes, the author, encourages us to listen for clues about what excites the other person. So when we notice what lights up our spouse and we ask follow-up questions about that topic, it shows curiosity and care. So we listen for these clues and then we direct the conversation in that way.
You're going to have to give an example.
Well, okay. So I did try this recently. So I don't know whether to give you my personal example or the example she gave in the book.
Either. Whatever works for our listeners.
All right. Well, I was at a donut shop with one of our daughters.
Yes.
And the cashier, she casually mentioned in the conversations she lost her voice at a Taylor Swift listening party.
That's hilarious.
And I thought, okay, she wants to talk about Taylor Swift.
Sure.
So I asked what she thought of the new album because I had heard it. And it created this instant connection and this conversation.
Right. And you don't have to personally be the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but you know that this person is interested, so.
Yeah. Well, and in the book, How to Talk to Anyone, she talked about how someone working in a nursing home was talking about weather with one of the older ladies. And the older lady got really upset about plants. And she went and talked to somebody later and was like, I don't understand why she got really upset about plants. And the person she was talking to was like, she must care about plants. So she knew to direct the conversation next time to plants. And the lady just lit up. I'm pretty sure it was plants that was so it's listening to those little things. You might be talking about one thing, but maybe you accidentally slip something in and I go, oh, that's what he's really thinking about or what he really wants to talk about.
A word detective.
Right.
All right. That takes active listening. You can't be too passive with that.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to maybe deviate from what you're wanting to talk about and take interest in what the other person has on their mind.
Which is fun.
Yeah. All right. Number 3.
Yep.
Never the naked thank you.
See, it sounds weird, but I think I know where this is going. Like, if you do something nice and I say thanks or thank you, that's good. But I could take it a step further and tell you what I'm thankful for. So it's not just sort of dangling out there.
Right.
It's
Yeah. I mean, this one is short but powerful. Never let thank you stand alone. Always follow it with for. I mean, and then whatever it's for.
So you give 4 things you're thankful for?
No.
F-O-R.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, thank you for setting up the microphones
Yes.
so we could record today.
Thank you for spending time on the podcast script, for editing it, and for printing off.
Yeah.
Give me a few minutes to look it over.
Right. And Shanti Feldhahn, in her book, The Surprising Secrets of Highly Happy Marriages, she talks about how a handful of simple day-to-day actions increase the likelihood that our spouse feels that we deeply care about them, instead of feeling like we don't. And in her research, she kind of looked at what she called were the Fantastic Five, or the Big Five for both husbands and wives.
Okay.
Like the simple day-to-day actions that really make them feel loved and appreciated. And for husbands, I think like 70-something% of them, I didn't write down the number, when a wife notices his effort and sincerely thanks him for it, that means a lot. That's one of those big daily actions.
You think this ties into like words of affirmation? A little bit? Maybe.
Or maybe it's just noticing. Like examples that she gave, like that wives would say is like, thank you for mowing the yard even though it's hot outside. Or thanks for playing with the kids even though you were tired. And I looked at those, and you'll notice that all those examples, she follows thank you with for.
Mm-hmm.
So, that for is important.
Right. No, if I say thank you, I should feel like it's just sort of not quite enough.
Yeah. Well, then you're
finish that.
Very specific. It's not just this general.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's really helpful.
Nicely done. Well, Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, says that...
Famous book.
Right. One of the most neglected virtues of our daily existence is appreciation. And he encourages us to give honest and sincere praise. And I think one of the ways to do that is to say thank you for. And it's kind of interesting because in the introduction for this How to Talk to Anyone, she references the Dale Carnegie book, but she says she thinks it's a little out of date.
Oh,
so
really?
She had to, yeah.
All right, well.
I don't know. I still think it's applicable.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll share 2 more communication techniques.
Did you know that Gen Z and millennials are leading the resurgence in church attendance? That's right. New research out from Glue and Barna as part of the State of the Church initiative shows that Gen Z and millennials are now attending church more regularly than older generations. This is a historic reversal in church trends. And Glue, spelled Gloo, is at the center of all of this. They're the technology platform for the faith ecosystem, connecting you with the latest research, technology, and values-aligned AI that supports churches, and ultimately, human flourishing. Glue is on a mission to serve those who serve, the pastors, leaders, publishers, and more in the faith ecosystem. That's high tech for a higher purpose. You can stay up to date with everything happening at Glue and across the entire faith ecosystem by texting JOIN to 46816. And when you text today, they'll send you the latest research from Glue and Barna about this historic church trend. Again, that's the word JOIN to 46816.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million U.S. citizens carry medical debt. But that's not the whole story. With health insurance, your out-of-pocket and monthly costs are way too high. You get surprise bills, denied claims, and poor customer service. That's a serious burden. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. You can enroll at any time and join a proven faith-based solution that's both reliable and affordable. CHM isn't just help, it's financial and spiritual support when you need it most. Families across the country count on CHM to step in during their hardest moments, and it works. Stand up to health insurance with a low-cost, biblical solution. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
All right, so we're back, and today we are talking through 5 techniques from the book, How to Talk to Anyone, that we can use in marriage to improve communication with our spouse. And the 4th one that I picked is echoing.
Echoing.
Somehow I knew you were going to do that.
Oh, I'm so predictable.
So we've talked about reflecting before, which is a technique.
What I'm hearing you say is we've talked about reflecting before?
Yes, good. Huh. Yeah, thank you for
but
demonstrating that.
This is different from reflecting.
Right. Echoing is slightly different. Echoing is where we mirror our spouse's choice of words, phrasing, or emotions. For example,
our spouse's words, phrases, or
emotions.
Emotions? Okay.
Yes. For example,
I'm trying to do it.
No. Listen.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
If you said, today was frustrating.
Yes.
I could respond with, frustrating, huh? Tell me what happened. So I'm kind of taking that last word. And doing that kind of extends empathy and validation. I'm using your terminology.
And I personally, for me, I think doing this helps me because sometimes saying things with my mouth helps me process it with my brain. So if you say, I had a frustrating day, if I say, you had a frustrating day, that causes me to pause and say out loud what your experience is, which reinforces in my brain that you've had a rough day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's personally for me because I'm, like I've explained, I tend to monotask or I tend to get distracted easily. So doing that helps me to be present and sympathize a little bit better, I think.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That's helpful. And I think when I hear you say it, I know you've heard me. Because sometimes I'll say something and you don't respond with something.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I'll repeat it and you're like, it eventually gets to, yes, I heard you. And I'm like, I didn't know that you heard me.
I gotcha.
So I think it's good both ways now that we
is the only
talk
difference
that
between
out.
echoing and what was the other one? Reflecting. Is the only real difference that some extra words, like when you reflect, you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is such and such, such and such.
Well,
but echoing is just saying,
I think reflecting is restating back to make sure that you've understood
in a slightly
the meaning.
different way.
Yes. So almost like you're paraphrasing back to make sure that you are grasping what they're saying.
And it might be important for bigger concepts or ideas.
Right.
But a simple idea like, I had a frustrating day.
Yeah. This is just saying, I'm hearing that you had a frustrating day.
So this is a fairly small technique that does help the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also read online that in using echoing, or some people call it the echo effect, it's important that we understand what those words mean to the other person, because it might mean something different to us than it means to them. And if that's the case, we might not fully understand what they're talking about. And I think the key here is to do this without sounding like you're playing the stop copying me game.
Stop copying me.
Right. Because that definitely does not improve communication.
It's funny, though.
For one person.
You do it. Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me. I don't even know.
When our kids were younger, they said coppeting.
Yeah.
Stop coppeting me. Anyway.
And I don't even know what that game's called. I asked one of our daughters. She was like, I don't know. You just say stop copying me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to call it the stop copying me game. All right. So are you ready for the last one that I pulled from the book? And I think it builds on echoing.
Okay.
And this one is employ empathizers.
Okay.
So often when we're listening, we may say, or to let others know we're listening. I mean, I do that. Or I nod my head, all that.
Or I say sure.
Yeah, or sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or I say yep. But Lowndes says that's better than a blank stare, but it's not the choice of top communicators. She recommends we replace our ums and our uh-huhs with empathizers. And according to her, empathizers are simple, short, supportive statements. For example, things such as, I can appreciate you decided to do that, or I see what you mean, or that is really exciting. So essentially, it's using complete sentences to show understanding.
Now, let me interrupt here. The word empathy is kind of in the news among some people.
Okay.
Some people who think that it's not the best word because if I say I empathize, that means I feel what you are feeling, which is, some people would say it's impossible for me to literally feel what you are feeling. So it might be better to have sympathy or sympathizers. I'm just throwing that out in case that word triggered somebody.
Right.
I do understand empathy feels like a good thing, but maybe if we can't feel literally what the other person's feeling, we can say sympathy.
Yeah, I read something on that recently, and there was another word that people recommended, not empathy or sympathy, but I can't remember what it was. Because, I mean, I guess to me, being empathetic is being like, I could imagine how that might feel. That must be awful. And sometimes that's what I'll be like. I don't, I don't know what you're feeling, or I don't. So maybe there's a way to.
So our use of the term is, I want to feel what you're feeling and feel it from your perspective.
Yeah. Well, and she's saying in this book that there's simple, short, supportive statements.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting argument on empathy. I wish I could remember what
that word.
Yeah, what the other term. I don't even remember where I read it, but I did read about that recently. And I think that's a really interesting conversation.
Conversation.
And I think it's a thoughtful one, and it's one that's worth exploring.
But if somebody says they empathize with you, it's probably best not to correct them at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, you might not even, in using these empathizers, I'm putting them in quotes right now.
Right.
You might not even use that word. Yeah. It's just kind of but that's interesting.
Sorry, I feel like I've got us off on a tangent.
It's okay. Well, and she actually said that you can build on this with a second technique.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the word empathize again.
Okay, that's fine.
With anatomically correct empathizers.
Now, I read your script, your notes before we started this, and this is cool. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's actually matching our short supportive statements to the current sense our spouse is talking through. So if our spouse is using primarily visual references, such as I can see, we can respond with, I see what you mean, or you have a clear picture of. If they say something like, it has a good ring to it, we can respond with, it does sound great.
Which is evidence that we are truly listening if we're providing this empathetic feedback or whatever, using some of the same terminology or imagery or, that our spouse is using.
It is interesting because, I mean, I don't know if this ties in. I can't remember if she said this in the chapter or not, but like I tend to be a very visual learner. So I think I tend to say things like, I can see that, or I can,
I gotcha.
To use those kind of words. So I don't know if it's tied to the way we learn also, or the way we interpret the world. But I thought that was really interesting. I'd never heard anything like that before. So, all right. You ready to recap?
Let's recap.
Okay. So we shared 5 techniques from the book, How to Talk to Anyone, that we can use in marriage to improve communication with our spouse. And they are the big baby pivot.
Awesome.
Be a word detective. Never the naked thank you. Echoing. And employ empathizers or supportive statements.
I will remember all those.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now it's time for one more quick break, but stick around because when we come back, we'll share this week's Us Time Challenge. And if you're listening and you're new to the podcast, each week's Us Time Challenge is something simple, fun, and doable you and your spouse can try together this week.
Did you know Gen Z and millennials are leading the resurgence in church attendance? New research from Glue and Barna shows that they're now attending church more often than older generations. That's a historic shift. And behind this discovery is Glue, spelled Gloo. Glue has a mission to serve those who serve, pastors, leaders, publishers, and more. And they do it by connecting the faith ecosystem with the latest research, technology, and values-aligned AI. That's high tech for a higher purpose. See the research yourself. Just text the word JOIN to 46816. Again, that's JOIN to 46816.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
So for this week's Us Time Challenge, I say pick one of the 5 communication techniques and practice it intentionally. So maybe it's pivoting toward your spouse when they talk, or saying thank you for instead of just thanks. Because like these small shifts in how we speak and listen can make a big difference in how connected we feel.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 simplest. and most easy to grasp. So the big baby pivot and the never the naked thank you.
Yeah.
I think those are easy enough to try this week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the word detective one's kind of fun.
It's very fun. It takes a little more effort, though.
Yeah.
If you can do the word detective, awesome.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
And there might be some trial and error with that one.
Right.
Someone might mention something and they're like, why are we talking about this? I don't want to talk about this. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Team Us podcast. We're looking forward to next time as we keep talking about how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together.
Team Us with Ted and Ashley Slater is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review the podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.